You're watching Capitol Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
Governor Pritzker and the Department of Corrections earlier this year announced plans to shut down and tear down the Stateville and Logan Correctional Centers in the state. Now, joining us is the senator whose district holds the Logan Correctional Center. It's Senator Sally Turner. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yep, thanks for having me, Cole.
So I wanted to have you on because there's been this really unique conversation around this. Stateville, oldest prison in the state. There's been complaints and allegations of some really bad conditions there. Logan also has been there for a long time. It needs some renovations, but there hasn't been a lot of concrete info around exactly how these plans are going to work, and that has been a major concern of yours and a major concern of some of the labor unions that have workers that are in that building. Just overall, where we're at in this process right now, what are your biggest concerns facing these ideas?
Sure. This is a very long, in-depth story, but I'll start at the beginning, which is we'd heard for as long as I've been a senator, not only our workers, our correctional workers, but also the loved ones of inmates that are in there calling our office and saying the conditions of that prison are bad. We had calls about the boiler going out and they couldn't get any parts. Lack of air, the facility itself crumbling in places. It's been neglected for many years through many administrations, and it needed to be repaired. And in some areas that they've redone things, and others areas that they've left neglected. So we knew that, and a lot of us have known that. We've been asking for a long time to get those things repaired. So about a couple of months ago, then we got the notice that they were discussing they put out the notice that said that they wanted to close down Stateville and Logan, and both of them rebuild in Stateville. Now, of course, we have a big problem with that because Logan County has been home to Logan Correctional Center for many years. And we have not only families of those individuals that are living as inmates in Logan Correctional Center, but also all the people that are employed there. So this is a huge impact on our economy there in Logan County. Not just on those individuals that work there, but all the businesses that are surrounding that.
I wonder with that the governor's been asked about this numerous times, and I found it interesting. He had a response to that, specifically about the economic development side of this, where he said a prison should not be the major economic hub for a community. Now, I know Lincoln especially, Lincoln had the university had shut down just a couple of years ago, and there's been some other economic problems that the city has faced, but it was interesting to kind of try to translate that, I guess, when we're talking about it from the governor's perspective, who obviously has made a big effort in that, attracting businesses, trying to get those big centers. We've seen it in Manteno, we've seen it in up in the Quad Cities area. I just wonder with that, when you heard that, what was your initial reaction to the governor saying that as a response to these economic concerns?
Well, there's a few answers to that. One was come see all the people that buy groceries and gas and go to the movies and all those things in our area when they're in town working. 196 of those individuals that work in Logan Correctional Center live in Sangamon County. The rest live in Logan. There's over 500 people that are employed there, but in all the surrounding small counties. A lot of them don't even have grocery stores. And like Mason County, just on those edges, the edge of Tazewell, the edge of McLean, they don't have any place to go to the grocery store. So those people, when they're going back and forth to work, would stop at Lincoln in Logan County and do the things that they need to do, whether groceries, pharmacy, things of that nature. But the other interesting thing that you brought up was in regard to his comment about economic development, that prisons shouldn't be their main goal. But interesting enough that the mayor from up at where Stateville is was pleased and had said on record that he was glad it was going to help their economic development. So which is it? So that was very interesting.
We've heard from the labor unions as well. They've been very concerned about this. There was just recently a report that came out that kind of detailed a lot of their issues with it and with the plan. And I wonder if you kind of view that as similar sides of the argument, I guess, or how what you view of labor's concerns really with these, because obviously they're concerned about, one, the jobs being there, and two, the conditions which those workers are in. What did you think of that report that they came out?
And sure, and I mentioned earlier that they were poor conditions, and they're poor working conditions, and they've needed to be fixed for a long time. Our key here is that we don't want to see disruption of those individuals that are living as incarcerated folks in those prisons. We don't want to see disruptions to them. There's a lot of people that move to that area to be near their loved one that's in prison. But also we don't want to see disruption to our people that are employed there. We have lots of people employed that have homes in Logan County, and as you know, it's better to live in this smaller community and have more affordable housing in our area than it is to go into outskirts of the Chicagoland area. Those folks can't, first of all, find a house because there aren't any houses for sale in many places. But in Logan County, that's really important, because if all these people leave and go somewhere else, we're going to have hundreds of houses for sale in Logan County, and that's going to affect our tax rolls, our EAVs, tax sales, everything. And one other thing you mentioned too was we had Lincoln Developmental Center, which was a disabled individuals area where they could live and work, and that closed about maybe 15 years ago. It is still sitting there, a huge facility with some smokestacks and things of that nature that are falling in, and I'm sure there's rodents and all kinds of asbestos in. On the edge of that, the state has built the Juvenile Justice Center, which looks beautiful. It's on the edge of it. It's part of Lincoln Developmental Center, and we're glad to see that there. There's about 100 jobs that'll be there, but those jobs can come from already the people that are at the Juvenile Justice Center. It's not that we're going to get new people from other areas. So that's a help that is there. But LDC, that whole big property, it's that the state has just left it behind, as they have in Jacksonville to some of their facilities, left it behind desolate. We lost that. Now we lost Lincoln College. We had hundreds of students there, hundreds of teachers, administration. We lost that, and then we recently lost Lincoln Christian University. So we've had 3 hits in the last few years that Logan County can't afford to have another hit.
There's this interesting cross-section for this conversation as well, where Illinois has really, and especially the governor's administration and advocates especially, have been calling for some big changes to how the prison system works in Illinois. The idea of the big, giant, prison system, cell blocks, everything like that has kind of been rethought, especially since the pandemic, because we saw the populations drop drastically during that. And I wonder if if you see this as an opportunity to have it both ways with that. If Logan, gets torn down, gets rebuilt there, do you think there's the opportunity to sort of build it back in that model that may have less overhead, less people there?
Absolutely. There's 500 acres there. I have no idea why we can't rebuild it there. Whether it's the width or the up or however they decided to build that, they could build it right there. I don't know why on earth they would need to build it in Stateville. Now they have discussed things like, there's more opportunity for some of the universities that are up there, and some of the after people get out of prison, but also to the teaching mechanisms that they have in the prison, that they're better up north. Well, we would say no, that's not true. We have ISU, we have SIU, we have U of I, we have Bradley, we have Lincoln Land, we have Heartland. All those schools here, ready and able to have outreach to the Department of Corrections. However, it's a backward system. DOC does not reach out to those different schools and say, what kind of programs do you have for me, and what can you do to come into our facility and help teach our people? They depend on those individual schools and facilities to come to them, which we discussed that in COGVA, and that is not the right outreach that we need to have with our state agencies.
So we just saw, obviously, the budget just passed, and the budget included the lump sum of money for Logan Correctional Center, and it seemed to at least show this isn't going to be happening super fast here.
Great point.
And I wonder with that, there's just, this is very early on in the process. Are you concerned with the lack of concrete information on this?
Absolutely.
Or is this, okay.
Absolutely.
It's
Cole.
not just, early, talk about phase of the whole plan, that you're not given the grace that's just kind of where we're at with this whole thing?
Our small bits and pieces that we've received, and when I say small bits and pieces, I mean very small bits and pieces. Even the union has got, yesterday I spoke with them and it's like crickets. No one has heard what is the plan. We just need to know, what is your plan and how did you come up with that? How did you come up with that's the best place to be? In Logan County, we have a cement plant, we have cheaper labor. I mean, everything is right here and they could be working on it at the same time. Why would we need to go up there? And in addition to that, reroute all these prisoners. We have 2 women's prisons, one in Logan and one in Macon. They can't take some of the people that are in Logan and Macon. Where are they going to go? There isn't a plan. So those are some of the things that are very difficult for us all to understand. We'd really like to see what is your plan. We're hopeful at COGFA at the hearing that they will vote not to close Logan. We understand that their idea is closing it within 3 to 5 years. We're hoping that if you do destroy the facility, that you rebuild it in Logan, and that's what we want COGFA to say, rebuild it in Logan.
Are you confident you're going to get an answer? And this hearing this meeting you're talking about is scheduled for this next
Thursday.
For this next Thursday here. Are you confident we're going to be getting an answer there?
I don't know how COGFA exactly works because I think it's the next day that they have their meeting. So I don't know. Right now, the last I'd heard from COGFA, they were asking to have a virtual meeting, one in Chicago and one in Springfield, to actually have the vote so that they didn't have to bring their members back down again. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to be, but I understand that's when they'll have their vote. And then the other thing I will add, thanks for asking me all those great questions. And on that Thursday at 4:30, we're going to be meeting at the courthouse in Logan County, and with a rally and walking down to Lincoln Junior High School, where we're going to have the hearing at 5 o'clock.
Got it. Well, Senator Sally Turner, thank you so much for joining us
No, it's my
today.
pleasure. Thank you.
We'll be right back.